Right guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm just going to quickly run through the steps on if you want to know how to change your cassette and your chain. Say if your cassette's worn or your chain's worn or both, and you want to know how to replace them on your bike, I'll just run through some stages on how you go about doing that. Right, so once you've got your new chain and a new cassette for your bike, you're ready to go ahead and remove your old chain and cassette. So some of the tools you might need for it, obviously if you've got a quick link in the chain, you get a pair of pliers like these and remove the quick link. If not, then you want a chain tool like that for taking the pin out of the chain and install a new pin in the chain. You want a chain whip, just hold the cassette so you can undo it. Obviously a cassette tool, it sounds to be a Shimano cassette tool like that, and then an appropriate size socket and a wrench to use the tool in. If failing that, just use a big spanner on the outside, but use a decent wrench with it. And if that bar isn't long enough on your ratchet, then just a slightly bigger bar, just in case that the lock ring on the cassette is tighter than you expect it to be. So sometimes that's adequate, but other times you'll need a bigger bar on it. Right, so if you want to know how worn your chain is, then if you get yourself one of these, it will show you exactly how worn it is. And if this fits in, obviously I'll start on the smallest setting, then you'll know. You can see that if this goes in, then your chain is already past so I can drop that, we can drop that in there, and we can drop both sides, so this chain just sits straight in there. So obviously that's completely worn. It should, even on the lowest, it should just sit, you know, it shouldn't fall in there like that. It should just sit on the top, so you know it's not worn. That just drops straight in, so therefore the chain's past its best. And I know that without even using the tool anyway, just by riding the bike, because if you ride it, it might not do it in every gear, because obviously you use, on the rear cassette you'll use certain cogs more than others, so it might not do it in every one. But if you, as soon as you load up the pedals or hit a slight hill or anything and you have to load up a certain gear, then it'll just slip suddenly, just slip, you know. You only might do it once or twice, just depending on how hard you got load on the pedals. But if it starts slipping, then that's a sure sign that your chain or your cassette is probably worn. So sometimes you might get away with putting a new chain on it, but you're better off just putting a new chain and cassette on, so they both wear at the same rate, especially if you use your bike in the bad conditions. Then it wears the chain and the cassette a hell of a lot faster than if you're using it in the bone dry. If you're using it in the mud and the dirt and the grit, it just acts like grinding paste. And the chains themselves, it's always the back side of the sprocket wears, because that's where the load's on. As you're pedalling, it's wearing, the force is on the back side of the cassette. And the chain itself, the chain doesn't stretch. They call it chain stretch, but it doesn't actually stretch to make this tool fit in there. It's just the wear on the rollers in between. They wear obviously because they're passing over the teeth on the cassette. It's not the outer plates that are stretching, it's just that the rollers in there are wearing. That's why this tool drops in. So go ahead and get yourself one of those, and then you'll know. But nine times out of 10 you don't need one of these to know. It'll say it'll start slipping in certain gears because you use them the most. There'll be a couple of the cogs on the back where it starts slipping, and if that's happening, you know that it's time to renew your probably your chain and your cassette. Right guys, so just get your pliers like so. If you've got a quick link in the chain and remove it. Right, so once you've removed your chain, just leave it to one side for a minute, because obviously you'll need this to measure your new chain, because you probably have to cut your new chain down to length. So just put that to one side for a moment, then go ahead, once you've done that, you can go ahead and remove your rear wheel, which I won't bother showing you how to do. You should know how to do that anyway. Right, so once you got the wheel off the bike, you can go ahead and just remove your skewer out the middle. And if you take that out, it allows access for the chain cassette tool just to go in place of the skewer, so it locates in the lock ring. Right, so once you've removed your skewer, you can just put your lock ring tool in, like that. So make sure it's right into the teeth. Now if you've got a lock ring tool that hasn't got the bit on it sticking out like that, then you can locate that in there to stop it slipping. You can get a quick release skewer and put through the middle and put the nut back on the quick release skewer, and just to hold it while you crack it undone to stop it slipping, because if it hasn't got a locator like that, some of the tools without that slip off easy under force. If you try and undo it, if it's really tight, then you can damage this tool very easily. So you can always put like I say, get a longer quick release skewer, put through, just put the end back on, and it just holds it, or you just crack that initial bit undone. So once you've got that in there, you can go ahead, get your chain whip like so, and just put around the cassette. Just hold the cassette while you're undoing it. Right, 1, 2, 3. Right guys, so once you got your chain tool on, your chain whip and your ratchet ready to go, ready to undo it, you can try and undo it by just holding the chain whip and pushing down on the ratchet, so it's anti-clockwise on the ratchet, like so. So that's just a noise of it breaking free, like that. So once you just undone it, you just remove the ratchet and the chain whip, like so, and then you carry on undoing the lock ring. Right, so if you undo the lock ring, see anti-clockwise, all the way until it's off, so you can just take the tool out and that will just be resting on there. You take that off like so. Now you can remove that. The first cog, the lowest one, will come off, and then after that it depends how your cassette's made up, but after you've taken that off, then you can just go ahead and just get hold of the largest cog at the back on the cassette, and then just slide it up off like that, so it's off. Then you'll just be left with just a free hub body in place, like so. So what you want to do now, go ahead and clean up the free hub body before you go and reapply the cassette, is give that a good clean around all the slots. Just clean all the old grease off or dirt off what's on there. Right guys, once you got the free hub body cleaned up, and you've inspected it, now if you've got any teeth marks on the raised sections there, then you can go ahead and clean them up with a small file before you put the new cassette back on. Obviously this one hasn't got any on it, but if yours has, then you can just clean them up with a file, the burrs off with a file before you put a new cassette on, and make sure that you grease the outside of the cassette body there before you go and put it on, just in case that your cassette gets stuck to that. So you better off just greasing that before you do that. And also while you've got the cassette like this, you can just check the free hub body itself for any play in it, any side movement much or too much play, just to check that it's okay and check that it's 3 wheels okay. So I'll go ahead and get some grease on that, and then I'll go ahead and we'll put the cassette on. Right, so before you fit your cassette, make sure that if your cassette's using the spacer tool, i.e. if it's not on 11 speed, if it's 11 you don't need this spacer on there. If it's 10 speed, 8 speed, 9 speed, you just want the spacer ring in first, so don't forget to put that on before you put your cassette on. So we'll get that on there like so. Now if you're using Shimano like this is, you're obviously looking for the on the back of it there, you're looking for the smallest notch which is there. Compared to the other ones, you looked for the small one, and obviously that small one there corresponds on the cassette with the smallest one, the smallest line, which is that one there. See, the two next to each other are bigger, but that one on its own is you're looking for that. So if you're looking for that and you're looking on the back of the cassette, then you can just turn that over and line them up and look down inside there, and then line up the corresponding ones, and then you can just, and that'll just drop on there. So once you've got the cassette dropped in place, then you can go ahead and take off the plastic ring over the socket there, and that'll obviously leave you with your lock ring and the last cog there, which is the same principle. You just look inside it and you can see the smallest notch, which is there, will line up with the small one when you look on here. So you can just drop that over to get it lined back up, that sits on there. And then the lock ring, make sure you grease this lock ring, put plenty of grease on that before you put it back on. And obviously the torque spec on it is stamped on there, you can see there 40 Newton meters. Right, so once you got the nut started by hand, you put the grease on, just go ahead and drop your tool over there like so, just tighten up by hand, and then you can finish it off with your socket, just nip it up, and then you can check the torque on it. So right, once you got the back wheel refitted onto the bike, you can move on to the chain. Now obviously you've got your old chain that you kept off of the bike, so you know what the length was. If this chain, if your old chain was the right size, then you just need to cut down your new chain. So you can just lay that out on the floor and get your new chain and lay it next to it. Right, so once you've got your chains lined up together, you'll be able to tell where you need to cut your new chain down to. Obviously you can see there, it lines up there, so obviously you've got to take that many links off of the chain. Now if you've got a quick link going back into the chain, then it obviously has to be cut in the right place, because you've got to put the quick link back in. So obviously not on an open, not with the two open sides, just want to be left with the middle one like it is on your old chain, like so. So that's how you know if you're near the right one, because obviously it'll be open. If you remove that link, you're just left with the two open plates either side. If you remove that one, you're just left with the roller in the middle, as it was on your old chain. So just make sure when you cut it down, it's in the right place to allow for your quick link. Obviously if you're riveting it back together, you need an end like so on that end, on one end of the chain, and obviously you need an open, the two plates left on the other end, so when you come round to join them back together, you just slide over and you can rivet it through. But with a quick link, obviously it's replacing one, so it's literally a roller like so, and a roller on the other end the same as this end, so you can put this in, that forms another link as it goes in. So just be aware of that and remember that before you go and take too many links off or anything. So we go ahead now and mark that, and we go ahead and press it out using the chain link remover. Right guys, so when you know which link you're after taking out, then you go ahead and get your chain link remover installer tool, and then we'll take that link out. So we can drop the chain into the tool like so. Just unwind it far enough, just drop that in like so. Make sure your chain's in there square. Then you start doing that up, and obviously just keep your eye on the rivet in the middle there to make sure you're pushing on the rivet correctly, so it's going to push it through nice and straight, and it's not going to push it out at an angle. If you're re-riveting it, then you want it to come out nice and clean, so you can, when you're going to install a new rivet, you haven't messed it up. So once that's lined up square, you can just go ahead and push that through. And there it goes. And you just keep putting it through until it comes out the other side. See, it's coming through there. Just go ahead, wind that through till it's all the way out. Then wind the tool back again. And there's the section removed that we didn't want. Obviously, new pin comes out the other side, like so. And then you're left, and then like that, ready for your quick link to go in. Just slots in like so. And the opposite end of the chain is also with the roller exposed like that, so ready for the opposite side of the quick link to go in there, so you can join it back together again. Right guys, there's the chain fitted back on. Obviously while you've got the chain off, you can just inspect your jockey wheels to make sure the teeth, just go around and check the teeth, you're not missing the tooth or anything on those. Just while you've got the chain off, just pays to inspect those as well. Right guys, so that's a quick video anyway for you, just a quick guide on changing a cassette and chain. That was a Shimano cassette and chain that I just swapped. Obviously bikes vary between manufacturers of components, and obviously even with Shimano, if it's 11-speed chain, etc. Make sure you've got the chains on the right way round, and if you're riveting it together, make sure you put the rivet the right way. When you rivet it together, which way it goes. Obviously you can check all them details and specs on your particular bike or your components, but that was just a very quick guide, just show you if you're wondering how easy it is to do, and if you could manage to do it or not. But that's just a quick, I mean, it doesn't take long to do, and it's simple enough to do really if you've got the correct tools. So I say, if you found it handy, then give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Until then, ride safe, and I'll see you on the next one.